Hey guys, so I figured it's been 3 weeks, I think almost to the dot, that it's time to give you guys an update. Now, this update is by far the biggest update that I have had since, and I think I've done 3 videos now. I have had more progress that I've had in literally 2 weeks actually. So that's the positive, and then there's a negative of I've learned the most amount about myself. An eye-opener in the last 15 minutes of going to the chiropractor and re-looking at my x-rays. So this is going to be an interesting video. If you have not seen my other videos and you're interested, go back and see that because this might not make sense, but I'm gonna continue on from where I left off. And so yeah, let's start off with the biggest update since the last one. The first one, I no longer need the canes. In fact, I'm not supposed to be using canes anymore because I can't hunch over anymore. So we're backwards. Normally with a herniated disc, which is what I have, you have to stand straight because hunching over is not good for the disc. However, my issue was it was pinching a nerve. And the only way to stop that from pinching was to hunch over. And as I said in the other video, it's because when you bend over, your spine opens up and it creates a larger travel section for the nerve. But at the same time, it's not good for the herniated disc. Since then, my physiotherapist actually said, look, I think you're doing good. Let's try doing it without the canes. And literally a week after leaving that last video, I stopped using the canes and very slowly progressed. I can walk. Now there's some days I can't, but the majority of days I can. So if you remember within the last video, I said that a couple things. It's a herniated disc is what I have. And a pinched nerve. If you Google it, I'm sure you know what Google is. It's basically, it's your vertebrae has these soft discs and they're almost like gel. And what happens is they cushion, they're like little shock absorbers. And a herniated disc is usually when you move around, usually when you lift something heavy and you don't properly turn. A lot of times when you twist. And the one I have is what's called an L5-S1. It's the very first one above your pelvis. It's the most common one from what I'm being told and what I'm read to get injured because that is when you're bending over, you're lifting and twisting and stuff like that. And nobody lifts properly and I sure as heck didn't. And you can have a herniated disc for years and not know it because it doesn't always hurt unless it pinches a nerve or it gets worse. So basically it starts to stick out. An example on the internet is if you take 2 coffee cups and you take one of those squeeze stress balls, you put it on top, and if you turn it, you can move it. If you push on it, and if you squeeze a stress ball and it pops out the end, well, that's what's happened is it's pushed up against the 2 vertebrae. It's pushed out, and there's basically you have nerves that are in the back, right alongside your spinal cord. And it happens that it bubbles out, and it touches it, and it annoys it. And that's what travels all kinds of different places. It could turn your arms, your neck, your back, your legs, one leg, your foot, whatever. And if you remember my last video, I was being called atypical. In other words, the symptoms that I had for an L5-S1 did not correlate to an L5-S1. Sciatic nerve, when you look it up, generally goes the back of your leg, back pain, down the back of your leg, down the back of your calf. I was having on the front of my shin, on my tibia, and no back pain. I was able to bend over, but it didn't make sense. And I had 4 doctors tell me the same thing. You are atypical. Doesn't make sense. Your x-ray shows L5-S1. Doesn't make sense. So I had gone to the hospital and they did an x-ray again, so second x-ray, and they did a CT scan. And the same thing came back, L5-S1, but could not correspond to why I had the symptoms that I had. I went to one physiotherapist, and due to an incident, I decided to try a different physiotherapist. And they said, you know what, let's get your x-rays from the hospital and your CT scan, and let's just see, because I think it's the one above it. I don't think it's your L5-S1. I think it's the one above, because that will give you your symptoms, even though I'm being told no. So today I had my first chiropractor session. I've never been to one, so I was pretty nervous. And the x-ray actually came in yesterday. So the chiropractor was able to go through the x-ray and the CT scan, and she told me things that I did not know. First of all, I don't have 1, I don't have 2, I have 3 slip discs, which is why, and every single one corresponds to one part of all my symptoms. That's why it did not match L5S1 because I have 3. Now, the one main thing, and this is the big one that there is no way of knowing what the future holds, is that I have a degenerate disease in my vertebrae. That can mean a few different things. One is I also have arthritis apparently, but apparently that's normal for my age, but it's not bad. They said that didn't correspond to the issue that I had. They start to compress more and they start to kind of deteriorate a bit. So the major thing that I have is a degenerate disease in which there is a narrowing of the hole at which the nerves go through, only on the right hand side, which corresponds to my right side, and the nerves go through it. You can think of it like cholesterol in your heart valves, right? In your heart. It narrows your arteries. In this case, it's narrowing the path. So right now, we don't know if it's 1, 2, or 3 discs that are hitting 1, 2, or 3 nerves. We don't know. All we know is that it is healing very good. I have got my reflex back. I did not have any kind of reflex from my right leg. When you only take that hammer and they, loosen your leg, let's tap it. Good kick here. This one barely even moved. She checked the same thing, my arms, legs, push here, put your force here. And she says, I'm very, very good at fact of having power. And I have all my reflexes, so no nerve damage. Unfortunately, there's no way to know what's going to go on with the narrowing of those passageways. That may need to be surgery in the future. I could be like this for a long time at this stage, or it might get better. But she says it's going to get better because in only literally a week, my progress even increased better more. So as of the last video, that was only 3 weeks ago, I had pain still in the shin, wasn't like nothing like before. That was excruciating. Surprisingly, it was only the day after I came back from the hospital, coincidentally. And then I had pain in the ankle and on the soft part of here, right by your knee. That was pretty much it, no back pain. Now, as I said before, it's getting better when your nerve pain rises up and it ends at your back. So now I don't really have any shin pain. It was a little bit on the inner thigh and it's kind of losing that ability. It's more of the main part here and the hip and a little bit in the back. So it's coming up. It's actually getting better. I'm still not like enough to be doing as much as I should. I have so much exercises that I do in a day. So because I have been pushing myself, I have like 6 sets of stretches and I do this throughout the whole entire day. And I walk inside the house for literally 2 hours. I have a routine that I do. And every once in a while, if I'm feeling okay, like they say, listen to your body. If I don't feel okay, then I won't do it. I'm not going to push myself, but I can walk around the block. I don't go up hills or down hills, but I can walk and just, be careful. And then if I start feeling it, I'll come back inside. So progress is happening. And so some of the struggles that I still deal with is I can't sit for more than 20 minutes. And yes, I can stand, but I have to be careful because I can't walk fast and I have to be very careful with where I'm going because like if I'm walking outside and I trip over a small rock and it's enough to make me, jump maybe unexpectedly, I'm in bad shape. So I try to keep it inside the house. Like I do as much as I can in here because if I start feeling that pain, and it can come at any point, then it's off on the bed, curled up in a ball and putting a heat or a cold compress on, for 15 minutes or whatever, and then potentially maybe doing more exercise, stretching and trying to relieve it. It's not just walking and sitting, it's like whatever I can do. It's coming along. Right now what they're concentrating on is what they call nerve threading. Sounds really disgusting, but all it is apparently your nerves are almost like a paracord. They actually stretch. They have a stretch to them. And so what's happened is the nerve has kind of bound itself in the muscle and your muscles are somewhat tightened around it. And that's what I'm feeling. So these stretches that I'm doing is actually you're very lightly stretching, releasing, and you're actually moving your nerve in through your muscles, and that's what they're concentrating on. It's a pretty painful thing when they're pushing down at physiotherapy and using their elbow. I tell you, it hurts real bad. But you know what? I'm determined to get better as much as possible. I literally spend the day. I spend from like 1 p.m. to 1 a.m. in the morning, and I'm walking in the house. I'm doing stretches and exercise. I got a yoga ball that I need to be able to do things because I wasn't able to lay down flat. I had pain in my back if I went to lay flat. But progress is happening. I don't know what's going to go on with that degenerate issue, but I hope things are going to get better, and I'm determined. That right there with that progress, and remember, this has only been a month and a half. I couldn't walk. To go from where I am now to where I was in the beginning, where I couldn't walk for more than literally 4 steps without excruciating pain here, and not be able to sit for more than 10 seconds. Basically, I was stuck on the bed and I couldn't get out without excruciating pain. And that, you know, I come back 4 steps later, I'm on the bed holding my leg like it's bad muscle spasm, like a Charlie horse, in agony for 15 minutes where I could barely even get a breath. And then it finally subsides like 15 minutes later, where I classify as a 10. I've never given birth, so I can't really classify as maybe that's a 10 and this is an 8. I don't know, but I'm gonna say it's a 10 because it damn well hurt. And to now that I can walk. Now I do have to take medication. I still have to take the Tylenol arthritis 8-hour. Without that, I get the pain in the hip. So I know when it's disappearing because I can feel the hip again. But the fact that I can now walk and I'm forcing myself to make sure my knee is straight on my right leg, because that's what I have to concentrate on. And there are times where I am walking and I guess I hit that nerve and I'll actually, my knee, my leg on my right leg will actually collapse underneath me. It's scary. I'm just walking along, just all of a sudden it's like somebody shocked you and I almost dropped to the floor. So when I'm walking outside, I have to be careful where I step because I can't take a step fast. Otherwise I could be in bad situations. So I have to be very careful. Like I said, progress. It's fantastic. Like, I'm so stoked for what's going on. I appreciate you guys keeping an eye on it. Again, I'm sorry for there's a lack of normal content on my channel. There's nothing I can do about it, but you know what? The support has been amazing and it's just brought my spirits up so high. I am so determined to beat this. I've never been so determined in my whole life, and the support has helped me so much, and the progress of happening has helped so much. So thank you guys, and I can't wait for the next, because I'm very, very, very hopeful. Thanks guys, and I will see you guys later.